Okay, so um I'm kind of pausing or interrupting my current video series, which I don't even know if anyone's even really looking at it, but I'm taking a break from that to talk about the more mystical, like spiritual side of my experience of life. And so I've kind of been staying to myself. I'm taking a class to, kind of enrich my experience of life and also kind of maybe have better direction career wise and maybe possibly become self employed someday. You know, I can only afford like one class at a time right now because I really don't have a whole lot of money. But the one class that I have started, I haven't gotten that far along in it, and I think I'm kind of seeing some changes, but only time will tell if the changes are in the direction that I actually want it to go in or not. Because with a couple of months ago, that whole situation with uh my bra that literally defied laws of physics when I was coming out of the shower, that was not what I was looking for. My female friend said that was the Hebrew God who did that, and I am seriously hoping that she is wrong and that that was a counterfeit from somewhere else. Now, what happened earlier today is that after I took a break from deep cleaning and took a break from preparing to finish the paint job on my much older home, um, like a spirit spoke to me and he said, I have known you since you were a little girl. And I don't know if that's the real Hebrew God and not a counterfeit, or if that's an ancestor or an angel or whatever. I don't know who it is. All I know is that that particular spirit who said, I have known you since you were a little girl, it sounded like a man, like one of the masculine men, not like a effeminate kind of dude, not one of those. And the words I have known you since you were a little girl are significant for the following reasons. Okay, like in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 8, um, I think it was either chapter 7 or chapter 8. Really, both chapters are pretty foundational, in my personal opinion. But somewhere in there, it says it's one of those two chapters or somewhere close by there in the book of Jeremiah. It says, my people are a foolish people who have never known me. And so that is pretty interesting, where the Hebrew God says, my people are a foolish people who have never known me. So right there, that says that his people, they were worshiping, honoring, and feeding something. But what was that something that they were worshiping, honoring, and feeding? Whatever it was that his people were working with, that's the entity that had them burning children alive in the valley of the son of Hinnom, where where they were drinking, drugging, having group sex, and burning kids alive inside of a golden calf. And that's been archaeology has validated that specific cult. And I mean, there are a lot of similar cults that existed all over the world in ancient times. So in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 7 and 8, that's when the Hebrew God was saying, my people are a foolish people who have never known me, because they were people who were fully into that cult of drinking, drugging, group sex, and burning kids alive. They were in that. And So if that was the actual Hebrew God and not a counterfeit, I think that would be like his way of saying, okay, you're not a foolish person who has never known me. Not like the ancestors from ancient times who were doing all that shit and never really knew him and just thought they did. And that kind of denotes a very non-combative nature. That patience and calmness to just sit back and say, hey, you know what? I know you're wrong. I know you don't give a shit. And guess what? I'm not going to argue with you. That kind of patience. But also in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 7 and 8, he says things like, you have worshipped other gods who you do not know to your own hurt. So right there, he says, yeah, other gods do exist, but you really don't know them like you think you do, and this is hurting you. And then he goes on further to say, I never asked your ancestors for all this blood sacrifice and stuff. I didn't ask, basically saying I didn't ask them for none of that. And, and as far as them burning kids alive as part of their group sex, drinking, and drugging ritual, he says, okay, well, instead of the Valley of the Son of Hinnom, you will call that place the Valley of Slaughter, because I will bury you until there's no more room to bury you, and the birds will pick at your bones. So, this kind of frames the circumstances for what was going on when people really did not know him in reality, where they thought they did it, they just didn't know him at all. And so this morning, with me being told I have known you since you were a little girl, if that was in fact him speaking to me, maybe that's his way of saying, that he's acknowledging the time that I've taken the time to actually know him instead of doing the opposite, like what tends to happen a lot in so many circumstances in life. So I'm not really sure if that's him or not. I don't really know. But whoever that spirit is, I think maybe he really has known me since I was a little girl, like for real. Because he went on to say, have you done any art lately? And that really stood out to me because when I was little, art and music were a really big thing. And I had female friends who were like really great friends, a lot of shared interests and really awesome girls. And I used to sketch, I used to paint, I used to play the violin, and I used to love singing and dancing, especially like on days when I had to do my chores. I would turn on the music and do all of that. I lived kind of a sheltered life, and I spent a lot of my free time reading. I had little friends I played with, but I also spent a lot of time reading too, because that's just what kind of kid I was. I always had my nose stuck in a book for some far off fantastical adventure in faraway lands. But yeah, that is one of the things I really liked doing quite a bit, was art in my free time when I was a lot younger. I don't know if I'll ever get back into that again, but for right now, in a way, art is still kind of a thing for me, like a Zen kind of thing. But for right now, instead of painting small pictures of Pokemon, I'm painting my home. My home is my art right now. And I don't sing and dance like I used to when I was little, but eventually I want to go back to teaching myself how to play the guitar. And I want to get a new guitar that's kind of more of a work of art than what my old guitar was that I had before I left my ex-husband. Because my old guitar, I had sold that. I sold that at a pawn shop before I got divorced. But I want to get a new guitar and go back to trying to learn how to play, because this is something that I've always wanted to do. Like ever since I was really little and watching the older Zorro on TV, and I saw this one episode where Zorro was playing his guitar, and I used to watch shit like that by myself. Like half the time nobody knew what I was looking at on TV, and I wasn't looking at anything bad. I'd just be looking at shit that people probably would have laughed at, like Zorro figure skating and Golden Girls, like all kind of shit that, like anime on Disney Channel, like a lot of shit that other Black people typically would laugh at. I would just sit and look at stuff like that in my room, like all the time, because like nobody was really checking. So I mean, there was a lot of freedom there to look at stuff other Black people would typically laugh at. It would be like, you're lame and stupid. But as a kid, I never really got into a lot of bad stuff on TV though. Just, I don't know, just kind of trying to see the world through from a different point of view, or just looking at like Discovery Channel to see the variety of life on this planet and how different types of creatures live and how ecosystems need that diversity in order to survive and to support a diversity of life. Like I just, like Discovery Channel especially is like my window into like the world and the global community as a little kid. There's just so many different types of things that I was blessed to learn and to be exposed to outside of the classroom, because I didn't have anyone standing over my shoulder saying, "Oh, that's boring, that's stupid, why are you interested in that?" Or, "Well, none of us looks at that, why are you looking at that?" I never had anybody standing over my shoulder trying to tell me what to think or what to do or how to live. And, just being on the outside looking in, I know that the Black community, the Black pagan community especially, they have just as much indoctrination and wrong teaching within it, to the same extent that the white evangelical church does. I see it quite clearly as day. And I feel very blessed that Black women who have college degrees and professional experience in mental health and who are also experienced in spiritual matters, I'm glad that they're able to clearly define what our collective experience has been as a people, but from the point of view of, I don't want to use the term I'm thinking right now because it's going to sound ghetto. It's going to sound ghetto if I say it. But anyway, I'll just say that I'm grateful. And, whoever this spirit is, if he's truly the God of my father's ancestors, who said my people, being Israel, are people who have never known me. If that was him talking to me instead of an energy vampire or instead of a counterfeit, that's a pretty big deal. If it was him, because that's something that I've been working on for a really, really, really long time. Like, oh goodness, I've been working on that for like 13 years now, I think. Yeah, I think it's been, no, I think it's been about like 13, 14 years I've been working on that. And Yeah, but I just can't believe he said, like, I've known you since you were a little girl. Have you made any art lately? You know, but I guess I can say the answer to that is yes. It's very much yes, just kind of in a different way. Just in a different way for right now. I don't really have money to be doing a lot of little sketches and paintings, and I've filled my time with other things outside of that. But I plan to eventually get back into, more creative things. And after I finish the classes I'm enrolled in, maybe if I work on improving my sketching and painting ability someday, maybe that can highlight and complement whatever spiritual work I might do, because then I can maybe try to describe spiritual things with sketches and pictures instead of just solely describing those types of things with words. Or in the case of what happened with that other spirit when I was getting out of the shower, there's the like that shit. I videotaped that shit because it was just insane to just separate my bra, but without tearing anything and with no openings and no cracks in anything. That was insane. It's kind of hard. It's really kind of hard to vet and verify things when you're dealing with stuff of a spiritual nature. But, just like with people, spirits, they have their tendencies. And when you look at other people who interact with them across multiple different cultures, you kind of see like a continuous pattern in their tendencies and what they tend to say, what they tend to do. And, so I guess only time will tell if I've finally made contact with the real one and not a counterfeit, because that other entity that was interacting with me, I thought, oh my God, this can't be the real one. Not with this ignorance, not with this lustfulness and nastiness and vampirism. I thought this can't be the real one. So who I've made contact with today, hopefully that's the real one. I hope. And if not, then I'll either just deal with it. So